Hello, and welcome to Nosy Bystanders Live. I am your host, Chief Nosy Bystander, one word. And today we got to get into this story because it's a mess. It's a mess. It's some white people stuff, but it's a mess. And we're going to get into it because why not start off the first of the month talking about somebody else's problems, okay? Now, we then took a sabbatical off for a month. We sprinkled a couple of episodes into the month of April. But I had to get outside, y'all. I had to get outside to touch grass and get outside. But we are back, okay? We are back for our regularly scheduled program. I know y'all miss me. I know y'all been hounding me. I got the emails. I got the desperate DMs, which I love. Okay, I got the text message. I got everything. We're back, okay? And shout out to Nosy Bystanders for just keeping it a stack and telling me to get back to work. So we're back, and we're going to be talking about a content creator by the name of Ken, just Ken. He's a verified content creator across all social media, and he has been digging into a story in regards to the smiley face killers and some slew of, well, we can't call them murders because we don't really know, a slew of incidents that have been occurring in the Chicagoland area and across the United States. Well, Ken kind of like catapulted himself to the main stage to be kind of like the arbiter of discovering this case. Well, turns out people are side-eyeing him bombastically because they weren't sure what his motive was in regards to kind of anchoring his flag onto this story. So we're going to get into the details of that. We're going to get into a lot of other people's perspectives, including a sociologist and psychology instructor in regards to this case and everything else circling around it. Okay. So before we get into Ken and his drama, let's see who's all into the building. Okay. Hello, that girl, Chris. How you doing today? Hello, Quanda. Hello, Lexi. Hello, Nikki. Hello, and Max says, hey, beautiful Chief. Ever since you had your hot date, you're hardly around. You know, I love when you say my name. Okay, and Mac. Hello. Hello, Siren. Hello, Shug's World. Hello, Outspoken Introvert. Hello, I Pray I Slay. Hello, Taisha says, hey, everybody. Hey. Hello, Cammy on the go. Hello, Julia. Hello, Nicole. This is me asking y'all if y'all paid y'all rent. Hope y'all did. It's first of the month. Hello, Courtney. Hello, Angler Reader. How you doing today? Hello, Kamiko. Hello, Sean. Hello, Victoria. Anybody here from Facebook at all? Hello, KP says, pay mine on Sunday. Mine ain't due to the 15th, so I got a little bit of wiggle room, okay? And not for lack of trying. Hello, Veronica. Hello, Double H. Hello, Jacqueline. Hello, Fortune, all the way from Facebook. How you doing today? Hello, Sam. Hello, Psych Nurse Jackie. Hello, V Haggard. Hello, Simone. How you doing today? Hello, Sue Lee. Hello, Courtney. Hello, Jacqueline, again from Facebook. Hello, Denise says, oh my gosh, you're back. I am. It's first of the month. We got to be back. We're back. Hello, Stephanie. Hello, Kim K. Hello, Janae says, hey, now, we missed you right in the middle of me doing homework. Hello, Tynese. Hello, Will B. Hello, Ditch Doctor. Hello, Andrea. Hello, Lady T. Hello, Parrish. Hello, God's Girl. Hello, Courtney. Hello, Jerica. Hello, it's me, Lisa Lee. Says, hi, everyone. Hope y'all said hello to Lisa Lee. And if I miss you, I apologize. We got to get into this story. So we're going to start off first with who this Ken guy is, right? Let me blow my screen up. I'm going to turn the volume up. You're going to be able to hear it. We're going to get into the story of Ken, and we're going to start off with Meredith. Now, Meredith happens to be somebody who's really kind of flagshipping, kind of calling out Ken and whatever it is he's getting himself into. If you're not familiar with the story, don't worry. Meredith is going to lay it all out for you. So let me go ahead and mute myself and turn the volume up.
You guys seen? Do you guys remember Ken, who stole one of my favorite creators on here's work? It doesn't matter, but it does. Culture work. He stole her Giselle Tom Brady thing. Well, now he's claiming that, and this is really one of the most unhinged things that I've seen on the internet. He's claiming that he has cracked the case of the smiley face killer. And you just have to go watch it, which, yeah, I had to use my husband's phone because Ken blocked me a long time ago, but it's worth it. He claims that a detective showed up at his house at 8:30 at night on Sunday. And then the best part is like he like films the video and it's like, okay, so there's a detective and he's here. But he just had to go move his car. Like, what? Y'all, it's too good. It is the most unhinged thing on the internet. Honestly, you're probably right. Have you guys seen, do you guys remember Ken?
Now she's in the beginning of this, she's laying out the footwork about what we're about to watch next. So the content creator goes by the name of Ken, and he had been talking about how he almost got picked up, or he got solicited by somebody driving while he was walking home from the bar. And then it just kind of snowballed into whatever this is that we're going to get ourselves into. All right, let me get to part 2.
Not be blocked by Ken like me and Larry are. So Ken might be solving a murder or he might just be plugging an app. Either way, I think this man is writing fan fiction about his life. But my favorite video, if you are so lucky as to not be blocked by Ken, you got to go watch it. First, you got to watch the first part where he claims that a private investigator has shown up at his house, but he's not there right now because he has to go move his car. And Ken comes on and makes a video about it. And then Ken comes back on and he's like, well, can't tell y'all anything anymore because now I am part of the investigation. This is like when there would be a kid in your class who'd be like, my grandma hangs out with Mariah Carey. And you'd be like, let me see a picture. And you'd be like, well, my grandma, she doesn't own a camera, so she can't. This card that he has, this is his proof. It looks like a card that he got at like a corporate work outing when they had a psychic or something. And if you are lucky, you guys, you have to see the text messages that Ken is posting on Instagram about me. Hold, please. So basically, it's like a conversation where someone's saying that, I'm being a little crazy, calling him out for stupid things, that I don't even know him. Well, no, I don't know him. We're all talking about people we don't know on this app all the time. But the thing I would say is I was first introduced to Ken when he stole Culture Work, who's one of, if not the best creators on this entire app. Ken stole her content, okay? That's how I was introduced to him. I don't believe whatever he's selling with this business card that he picked up at like a corporate outing when they brought a psychic in for the company barbecue, okay? I don't believe it. I don't buy it. I think he's full of it. I think it's to promote his app. He's stolen content from an incredible creator. But yeah, I'm the crazy. You guys, you have to see.
So let me explain to you why she's got this bone to pick with him in regards to a content creator by the name of Culture Work. She's a Black content creator. So Culture Work did a conspiracy theory story in regards to Gisele Bündchen and Tom Brady and that FTX. It was like Bitcoin or whatever garbage. Well, it turns out it failed because it was a scam, a high scale scam, Ponzi scheme, and Culture Work did a story on it. Culture Work was then referenced by a number of publications in regards to her conspiracy theory in regard to Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen. Okay. Ken, this content creator here, whichever way is pointed, took her story and said that he had came up with this conspiracy theory, and a bunch of Culture Work, the Black females followers, had tagged her in his video like, hey, he's trying to take credit for your video. So immediately then, and that was in December of 2022, immediately then people started to get incredibly suspicious of him, incredibly suspicious of Ken and whatever it is he was doing, because it seemed like he was like poaching content from other creators, hoping that nobody would see or hoping that nobody would figure it out, which is a big fat no-no when it comes to content creation. You don't steal content, at least without referencing the content creator. You just don't do it. Even if somebody's telling you a story time of a baby daddy cheating on them, you still give them the credit. You credit them, and you can add your own critiques to it. Like, hey, look at this story here. It's kind of crazy and wild. And this is the content creator who posted about her baby daddy cheating on her. That's so fine to do. But what you can't do is steal content and then kind of slapstick your name on it and say, look what I did. But it gets deeper.
Any more proof that what Ken is doing is really just a marketing strategy for his app? Here it is. This is Start Engine. It's a place where you can fund startups, and Foresight, which is Ken's app, has been on there. And this is a post from 416 showing investors that they've had this viral surge. And pause to read. Basically, it details how their CMO, Ken, has, a huge TikTok reach. And basically he did a viral video where then he, put in about the app, and now just pause to read. It then goes on to detail how Ken is going to start mixing in more posts plugging Foresight into his regular content, when we know his quote unquote regular content right now is all about how he's involved in this murder investigation. He is profiting off of people's tragedies to self-promote his app. And this is, if we needed any more proof that what Ken is doing, y'all, I don't even know what to say about Ken anymore. I just watched a video where he alleges that he was almost abducted twice recently. I do believe that he is taking these tragic deaths and missing person cases and using them to plug his app. Larry and I have been in it with Ken for the better part of a day now. But to be honest with you, Larry and I were both already blocked by Ken, hashtag blocked by Ken before this. But I don't believe that Ken is rooted in reality. And it reminds me of this thing from second grade, my own second grade. There was a kid in my second grade class. His name was Ricky. And his favorite song was Charles and Eddie, Would I Lie to You, Baby? That's not really here nor there, but I just figured you guys might want to know. And when we were in second grade, he started his own Midnight Society, inspired by the classic Nickelodeon show, Are You Afraid of the Dark? And there were stipulations for joining. And he told me the club was in full swing. And the stipulations were, stipulation number 1, you had to be able to get to the playground at midnight. Stipulation number 2, you had to have your own library card. Yes. This kid told me that kids were gathering on the playground at midnight to tell spooky stories. It was just like, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Midnight Society. What I'm trying to say is, I think that Ken is like somebody who sort of maybe tells tales. And when he gets called on, it's just like, well, you just don't believe me. Because that was pretty much Ricky's response when I said that. Actually, you know what he said? He said, would I lie to you, baby? Would I wonder where that kid ended up? He left our school after that year. I mean, maybe he was really on the playground at midnight with his library card. I guess the point is, I don't know what else to say about Ken that hasn't been said, but I feel like we've had a good run. I don't know if he's going to try to sue me, but I guess we'll just have to find out. He's looking for an attorney. Over the weekend, our queen, Ariana, okay, couple things. First thing, you just know Ken went hard for Coney on Facebook when it came out, right? He was a Coney guy. Second thing, harder thing to admit, I have been blocked by Ken on Instagram, which is kind of a bummer. Also because, I do think he's sort of hinting at maybe legal action against me. So it was kind of good to, know what was going on. So I kind of have a plan. If anyone, wants to know about it, I am going to workshop it with you guys. I'm going to apply for this job as a virtual executive assistant for none other than Ken. Can we discuss the fact that the starting salary is $10 to $30, $10 an hour for you to research content ideas that Ken provides? I mean, I know it goes up to 30, but the fact that he even starts it at 10. So anyway, if there's anything I need to know, y'all know where to find me. If he's like threatening legal action against me via IG. Okay, couple things. Speaking of LinkedIn, just so we're clear, Ken is not alone in using this reprehensible tactic for marketing the app. Check out this boy boss, Stephen Eddy. He's actually the CEO of Foresight, and I want to show you his LinkedIn post the other day. So here is a LinkedIn post from Stephen where he brags about the fact that the app has gone viral because of Ken's marketing techniques. So clearly, Ken is not like manufacturing this all on his own. He has a whole team of people who are like, yes, go for it. And so basically it goes on to say the same thing that we saw on that startup website, but it explains how, Ken took an unrelated video and then he promoted Foresight at the end. And then it goes on to say that Ken plans to start mixing a Foresight reference into the end of every other post. Considering how viral Ken knew he was going, this is so strategic. And if you watch the video the first time that he mentions Foresight, you will see it is a video talking about a tragic death of someone in Chicago. So Ken and Steven, by the way, who I feel like is not innocent in all of this, have created a marketing strategy where they are profiting off going viral by talking about people's absolute tragedies that they don't really have anything to do with other than the fact that they want people to download their, in my opinion, not very exciting app. This is an app too that in my opinion, this app will never take off. This will be something that 6 months from now, you're planning something with a group of friends and they're like, oh, we could use this app. There's this app that we use at my work and it helps make things trip planning easier and stuff. So people will be like, oh yeah, maybe, or maybe we could just text about it, have a group text. That's what people do. Nobody wants this app, in my opinion. Speaking of,
I think Ken bit off a little more than he could chew, right? Do I think that he is shamelessly plugging an app while using the tragic death of people? It's hard to say, right? It's quite hard to say because you don't really know anyone's motives. But being somebody on social media and seeing tons of motives, right? I can only surmise that there's no need. If you're really trying to solve a case of these unsolved mysteries, the last thing you would care about is plugging an app, right? Unless the app helps you solve these. But there is a psychology instructor who really lays out the framework of what's occurring with these smiley face killers case. People think it's a case. You guys, the likelihood, and I just want to make this clear, the likelihood that a gang of thugs are just roaming different cities in America, murdering people, and they're not conjoined together. They're just these very different sect groups of individuals just randomly killing people. And somehow they're translating that information back to one another. And then somehow being able to do that from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and now, and then somehow never being caught. That enterprise would have to be incredibly tight-knit and strategical with a surgical-like precision to be able to get away with something like this for a number of decades, and nobody within their group, not any children that were born after, not any friends or family members, will come out and be like, I think my daughter was a part of this smiley face group. I think my son was it's the chances are slim to none. But I want you guys to hear it from somebody who's been studying this for a number of years, who has a better insight on explaining it to you.
The whole smiley face killer thing that we see going on right now. This is something that's come and gone since the 90s. What really caused it in the 90s was finding smiley face graffiti near murder scenes or dump sites. In a lot of those cases, though, that graffiti was not new. It was leftover. It was a very common form of graffiti in the 70s into the 80s. And we're actually seeing an increase in that as graffiti now because of these, which means we can definitely not associate them with anything. What's happening here is we're taking individual statistics from different communities that are not unusual or unexplained and pooling them together into a way that makes it sound mysterious, like something weird's going on. We may say in an area with an urban waterway, 45 bodies were found in the river this year. Isn't that suspicious? Then we'll grab a couple individual cases, look at these that found no water in the lungs, drowning was not the cause of death. Isn't that weird? Making an assumption that that represents a majority of those cases when it doesn't. When you have larger communities with urban waterways, you get bodies ending in there because people take their own lives. You have accidental drug overdoses that people are disposing of. For example, Nathan Millard, the Georgia businessman found wrapped in the rug in Baton Rouge. People don't know how common it is for overdoses in drug houses to be disposed of like that. You have accidental deaths, and yeah, you can have murders there. What about this demographic of the men in the 20s leaving bars late at night drunk? They just fall into the water? Yeah, actually, you'd be surprised how often they do. If you go into the water, if you have an urban waterway with, say, a boardwalk nearby, you cannot orient to the surface if you're intoxicated, and you're likely to drown. Also, that population is the most common demographic you're going to find in the kind of bar patron setting who have a tendency to or risk of risky behavior. So it's a common demographic anyway. And you're going to find these traits in any community that has urban waterways like that. I lived in the Spokane, Washington area for a decade. Spokane River goes right through town, ending at the falls. Bodies were found throughout the year in the river. People are always saying, is there a serial killer here? Portland, Oregon, you got the Willamette River running through there. Bodies are found through the waterways around there too. It's not unusual. It's just taking individual statistics and emphasizing them in a way that makes them seem like something unusual has gone on. In a lot of the smiley face stuff, it's never been actually verified forensically that smiley faces were found nearby. A lot of times they show signs of age, so they're not new. It's just, again, creating correlation where there isn't one. I'll have to do a separate video on why psychopaths wouldn't do that.
You guys,
Well, why do we not have a multi-city network of psychopathic serial killers? One very big reason: by their traits, these are not people who play well with others.
Now, let me just pause that right here, because when I first watched this video and he said that, I immediately knew this guy was brilliant. Okay, he goes by the name of Casey Little, and brilliant. And it doesn't require a neuroscientist to have an understanding of that. Individuals who have a propensity to kill, and I'm not talking about people who kill in self-defense. I'm not talking about people who it was they're robbing a bank and they shot someone, and I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about people who commit crimes in the midst of an act of committing another crime or an act of self-defense. I'm talking about people who have a propensity to kill, okay, where it's ingrained in them and they have to do it, right? I.e., psychopaths, right? Psychopaths are by nature lone wolves. They may be able to ingrain themselves, get families, have jobs. You understand what I mean? End up in, doing gang-like activity with Crips, Bloods, Latin Kings, whatever. They may be able to ingrain themselves, right? The mafia, into different groups or sects. But it's very unlikely that the group or sect that they are going to integrate themselves with are people who are just like them, because psychopaths are always throughout their entire lives working on the ability to mask and hide their true nature. They're not the ones who are going to walk in the bar like, hey, I'm a psychopath. Are you a psychopath? Let's go kill together. That's not their thing. That's not their thing. It's not their thing. Okay. So Casey Little is explaining it down to the science because they're just not known to work together. They may be with other individuals who commit other acts and other crimes, but for the most part, if the group does not designate this person, this is our hitter. This is the one who's going to go out. He's going to be like the Iceman. He's just going to go out and he's going to do all the killings for us, because most people don't have a propensity for blood and lust, right? Like most people don't. That's why psychopaths and sociopaths are just such a small portion of the population. So let me get back to his video, because you have to watch it into its entirety, because what it does is it really disseminates and tears apart Ken's theory that there's just this network group of killers roaming the city.
They tend to be very independent, even when you have cases of multiple killers or partners, where we will look at them and label them both as psychopaths. I air quote that intentionally. Only one really fits the criteria. The other tends to be a enabling, dependent sidekick, and the controlling partner really keeps a tight leash on them. The Columbine shooters, the DC snipers, in each of those you had a dominant one and enabling, more dependent one. Where this goes with people, again, trying to pull all these cases together from cities and say, oh, look at the similarities. You're grabbing a victim base that is the largest victim demographic and trying to say there's something suspicious about it. It would be like me saying there must be something wrong with tomatoes because everyone on death row for murder has at some point in their life eaten tomato products. Yeah, that's a consistency in all of those, but we're ignoring how many outside of what I'm looking at fit the same criteria. The serial killer type is not trusting. They tend to be high in narcissism. They're not going to join with others or trust anyone else to do something like that. Even Charles Manson, when he sent his people out to commit the crimes, he didn't send them out into broad areas. He kept them within his control. You go out and do this, and then you come back. It wasn't until he got caught that a couple of them went out and tried other things. What really draws the appeal for people thinking this could be some network is it fits into the fictional stereotype of the psychopathic serial killer, the type you see in movies and TV, but not the kind that exists in real life. Hannibal Lecter never existed in real life. Hannibal Lecter as a character was a series of very exaggerated traits from other killers, all written together into one very terrified, singular character. But he is not based on any one person. And he actually couldn't exist because several of his traits are very contradictory. You do get traveling killers, but they also don't go in groups usually. And here we're talking about people are suspecting groups operating at the same time in different cities. And again, they're just picking and choosing stats and picking and choosing traits of the victims that fit. Why?
I really appreciated his dissection. Now, he didn't call Ken out directly, but he was just basically saying, enough is enough. You know what I mean? Like, you're not, in order to do what Ken thinks he's trying to execute requires two things. Quite literally requires a postgraduate degree in psychology, hands down. Because in order to be able to track a serial killer, you have to be able to have a foundational understanding of how they work. The second thing is you need a background in statistics and data analytics. Completely. And as somebody, and listen, y'all know me, y'all know I'm talk about this degree till the paint fall off. As somebody with a degree in statistics and data analytics, i.e. political science, and use graphing software, the software that I saw Ken using, I didn't say anything because I was just like, you're not even using like data set models that most people use. Like most people use the most bare minimum of data set models, usually by The Economist or Reuters or Gallup poll or Marist poll. They use specific graphing software, some by IBM, some by Microsoft. Somebody, I think it's called, I think I have it. It's on my old computer. It's AIG, GRS or whatever. It's just a simple graphing software. It's cheap. It's like $450. You can go all the way state of the art by IBM, and you can get the for $10,000, or you can go even higher than that by Microsoft. So those type of data sets and graphing software requires you to implement your raw data, and then it creates the graphing model. So it can tell you and show you the similarity. So when I saw that Ken wasn't using that, I was like, well, then what is he using? Because as somebody who's worked with that specific software, I tell you immediately, okay, you're using some really good software. So it might be showing you these data sets. You understand what I mean? But he wasn't even using that. He was just graphing. I don't even know how he was. I mean, no lie. I don't even know how exactly he was graphing them. Now, another implication that Ken said was that he was recruited by the FBI. Again, as somebody who's applied for a job with the FBI doesn't recruit. They don't. If you apply for the FBI and you don't finish your application, they're going to send you an email like, hey, finish your application. Or if you put your information into the USA jobs.gov or whatever it's called, and you're like, oh, I'll put this in my basket, because you can have a basket where you can have jobs that you want to apply to, USA jobs.gov or whatever it's called. It's going to send you an email like, hey, you put this in your basket. Did you want to apply? Because it may have certain time limits of when you can apply. So people are calling Ken out because they're like, the FBI did not recruit you, my guy. And as somebody, me, who has literally applied for a job with the FBI, they're already annoyed that you're applying. That's just how they talk. You know what I mean? And they never emailed me to recruit me. Right? They emailed me several times to finish my application. I was like, all right, let me just finish it. But then I had to get my transcripts, and I was just waiting on this other stuff. I was like, oh, this is so much work. So as somebody who's applied for a job, that they're not doing all of that. So people are calling him out because he's building this sort of pseudo like character, if you will, that he's basically like he's that nigga, but yeah, I don't think he is. And I think a lot of people are a little bit disturbed because he is. So at the end of a couple of Ken's videos, he had been plugging this app called Foresight. And I don't really know what the app does. It's in your app store. You can go look at it. Actually, you know what? Let's look at it now, because I don't exactly know what this app does. I have my phone right here. It's called Foresight. Is it with an E at the end? I have no idea how to spell this app. Oh, I hold on one second. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to see if I can find it. I never heard of it. Is this it? Nope. Crud. What is the name of this stupid app? Oh, here it is. My God.
Hey, Jasmine. Hope you.
I found it. Okay, let's go to the app store, see what the hell it is. Okay, so here's the app that apparently he's plugging. I'm gonna go to the app store. Oh gosh, you couldn't even find it. Okay, it's called a lifestyle and planning app. It's got 4.6 stars. Now let's see what this app does. It says Foresight. I'll put it up here so you guys can see it. It says Foresight is a travel and event planning app that helps plan for life experiences such as vacations, wedding, bachelorette parties, festivals, and general social occasions. This app makes it easy to coordinate plans with friends and provide tools needed to financially prepare those for upcoming events. See why 87% of Americans say they need Foresight for lifestyle planning solutions. And then it says plan. You could plan events, travel, and then these testimonials. Interesting. So Why is he plugging this specific app to talk about a murder case? Oh, and so here's kind of like some of the graphics from the app. I guess it allows you to set the destination, pick the budget, and then it splits it amongst the friends, and they can add itineraries and others. It seems like a cool app. Um, Seems useful and helpful. Actually, not gonna lie, it actually seems pretty useful, especially for those horrible girls trips y'all be ending up on, and then determining price. But what does that have to do with him with the smiley face thing? Let me get some of your comments. What's up, Blaze? Says, now that's the stupidest thing to say. They don't recruit. Who doesn't recruit? This from Lady T says, there's a street near me where I lived. It's spelled Forsyth. Yes. Forsyth, like this. It's like this with an E at the end. Forsyth. No H, add an E. This from L says, I work federal. They do not recruit. This from Tracy Girl says, there's a couple of copycat killers leaving smiley faces at the scene throughout the years, but no connection was determined. Yeah, and I don't think there is either. I think he's biting off a little bit more than he can chew, and he better tread lightly. Because that girl Meredith that we watched about 6 of her videos, she's on his neck. So Ken better tread real lightly when it comes to the information that he is dissolving and sharing across the internet, because the math isn't mathing for a lot of people, specifically Meredith, but also a couple of other people. Now, I got a couple more videos I want to play for you guys, because there are other people who are stating what he's saying. The math isn't mathing
Well, I'm going to buzz
at all. So let me get to the next video here. This one.
I hope you're ready for this then, because last night.
Let me mute myself.
At 3 a.m, I cracked the case. I was able to crack.
Hi, former military police investigator and interrogator for the U.S. Army, mainly working in Afghanistan operations and helping to create the Afghan National Army, which I don't know how much of a credential that is. However, I just want to issue a strong warning around these videos. I kind of got caught up and I was watching it, but it was the FBI bounce back emails. Those are just when you submit an application for those. The FBI isn't trying to recruit him. I tried to find any information about these 2 murderers that he's supposedly caught. He's not. I think this is a really important thing to talk about. Gaining clout off of people's misfortunes, especially people who are murdered and their families are not at peace, is one of the most horrible things. And this is all to promote an app.
I hope you're ready for this then, because last night at 3 a.m, I cracked the case.
You cracked the case?
I hope you're ready for this then. Where I'm the co-founder and chief marketing officer. We've been growing like crazy, and it's a lot of work, and I've had to bring on help.
So if you had any doubts whatsoever about Ken, go watch this video and you can understand his entire bit. He talks about his app that he's the co-founder of, and then he goes, "Oh, I've never done this before on my app," and like, there's just so many little things. And as a former interrogator and investigator, these are exactly the things that you look at. Ken is a top tier marketer. He is an extreme social engineer, and he's very talented. But y'all being duped real hard. Take that from an actual investigator who's worked for the federal government doing actual investigations. This guy's a fraud. Prove me wrong, Ken.
I'm about to build a base camp. I have so much work to do and not enough time in the day to do it all. So I'm bringing in a team to help me across my 3 core projects. The 3 projects I've been working on are my startup Foresight, where I'm the co-founder and chief marketing officer. We've been growing like crazy, and it's a lot of work, and I've had to bring on help. There is the investigation, which is obviously huge and multi-state and maybe multinational at this point. Third is, of course, the nonprofit that I'm working with in Chicago, trying to help them raise $1 million to feed 1,000 families for the year. So let's try to get started. I haven't done this before, but let's go to run. Let's call this one Foresight. The second project is the investigation. The last one, let's do beating Chicago. Now I'm actually going to build out the projects. I'm going to add all the documents that I have, and Lord knows I have a lot of them. I'm going to add all of the team members that I've hired for all these various different things. And we'll see what it looks like. I finished my Basecamp, and it is so cool. I have tried other softwares before, but this one is amazing. Look, you can actually add all of the various people to whatever project that they are actually on. It gets you your assignments. You can see all the different maps I have coming up. It has like actual calendars, and then within each one of them, you can see the people that are on each one. You can actually upload all the files. Here are all the maps that I have so far. I'm going to push these out soon. This is incredible. Like, this actually put everything in one place for the first time. I am hard to impress. I've tried so many project management softwares, but none of them have done what Basecamp has done for me overnight. Like, the sheer relief that I got after setting up Basecamp and starting to use it is really hard to describe. Like, this is actually an incredible product. I highly recommend it.
Okay, my bad. So let me say this. I don't know what that is. I've never fallen down the rabbit hole of Ken and what he does. But based off of this question here by Tatey Boo says, do you think he's really investigating or making up numbers to make it look like he's really solving something? I don't know. What he says to me, I find a bit problematic because I'm going to lean a little bit onto the instructor, Casey Little, the one who talked about the statistics that are being used and the demographics and how psychopaths actually work. Based off of what that instructor said, that instructor of sociology and psychology, versus what comes out of Ken's mouth and Ken's mapping system, I'm gonna have to lean onto the psychologist a little bit more because they seem like they would have a better understanding. Then the interrogator, the retired interrogator, the guy who talked about Ken and how Ken's really good at marketing, but the things that are coming out of his mouth don't make any sense. I'm going to lean on him a little bit more too, just by his sheer experience. Do I think that Ken is investigating these claims? Yes and no. Yes, because it's in your face. He's doing something, right? So he is investigating something, but no in the sense of that, like, Ken doesn't have access to death certificates or autopsy reports, which he can get access to. Autopsy reports are public record, but Ken doesn't have that sort of spatial mapping system. That Foresight app is nothing compared to what IBM will do when it comes to mapping and graphic software. So him using his app to like put everybody into this category so they can work on this project and put them over here so they can work on this project and slice a couple of people over here to work. That is just an organizational app. That's all it is. That app does not take raw data. Okay? It does not take raw data and map it. It doesn't. That requires an analyst. That's what requires that. It requires a data analyst. That's what it requires. It requires a data analyst. You can't do that. And you need raw data to do that. So that includes where the people died, what they look like, how they died, right? Access to their death certificate, what time they died, and then you can map it to see if you can find any similarities. With the raw data that Ken has, you can literally do that. Just this is my dental insurance card. You can literally do that just by simply looking at it. If two people died and they were both found in the same waterway, right? And they were both, tall men, and they had alcohol in their system. If one person, just by sheer knowledge, if one person was drunk and stumbled into the river and another person was pushed, that really good graphing software is going to be able to differentiate the both of those. Like, just looking just looking at their autopsy reports, be like, well, one's an accident, one looks like a murder, or not a murder, but one looks like, a homicide or manslaughter. You don't need graphing software to do that, but when you have tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of different cases that have slight similarities, right? You're gonna need that graphing software to do the work for you. It's just AI technology. So, do I think he's doing something? He's doing something. But there's not enough evidence, there's not enough data to figure out what exactly it is he is doing. You understand what I mean? Does it look like he's selling it looks like he's selling an app. It looks like he's selling an app. It does. It looks like he's selling an app. It does. And he's banking on that app helping him solve a murder, which it won't. That app is not built for that. The app is built for parties and organizing group trips to Miami. That app is not built, right? And that's where the confusion comes in. The app is not built as a data software in order to categorize horrendous deaths and determining if there are similarities between the two. That's not what that app does. But if people who don't know that will think that and download it, so now people are getting further and further and further away from the case, and they're getting closer and closer and closer and closer. Like, you know what? This app actually does more. Oh, well, Ken says he's going to use it to help solve a murder, but I'm actually going to Miami with my friends. I'm going to download the app. So what it's doing, it's blurring the lines on this case, because now you see Ken's getting further and further away from the case and closer and closer and closer to the app. Do you see how he's doing that? That's why the other guy called him a marketing genius. He's a marketing genius. He is. He's doing a really good job at convincing you guys that his app is going to, change your baby's Pampers, which it's not. It is just an organizational app for large scale events and parties and whatnot. Hold on. So yeah, what he's doing is, in my personal opinion, okay? This is my personal opinion. You don't got to agree with it, which I don't think most of you in here disagree. I think what he's doing is unethical. I do. But again, without knowing Ken's background, I don't know what his background is in. I don't know if he has a background in research and analytics or psychology or anything of that matter. I think what he's doing is unethical. I do. I think what he's doing is unethical. I think what he's doing is incredibly incredulous and unethical. He's using the deaths of other people's loved ones and saying, hey, I cracked the case. I did this. Those are his words. I cracked the case. I did this. I did this. And you're giving people hope when their loved one could have just gotten drunk and fell in a river. And now you got people out here thinking that, well, was my husband murdered? And according to Casey Little, the sociology and psychology instructor, you know what he said? He said men have a propensity to do stuff like this, right? Women just think a tiny bit more responsibly when they're drinking, just a tiny bit, not much more, but a little tiny bit more. So when women go out drinking, they don't go out by themselves. They don't get left by themselves. And if they are going to stay at the bar after the fact, they're typically going to get an Uber home. But men don't think like that. You understand? Men don't think like that. They're like, oh, I'll walk it off and fall into a river and die. And now you got people like Ken calling it a murder. So it's this from Kadra Powell. What's up, Kadra? Says, wait, why is he bringing on people to help him investigate? Because I guess he's stating that he's got a lot of spatial mapping to do, so he needs help. At least that's what I heard. That's from Nico. Says, seems like he's using the real case to promote a project management app and trumping up his analysis. Yeah. It's not good. In my personal opinion, it's not good. It's coming off a bit tone deaf. It's coming off a bit, just a hair bit tone deaf for me. But there's one more video I'm going to play. Let me mute myself.
I hope you're ready for this then, because last night at 3 a.m,
I cracked the case.
You cracked the case? What are you even talking about at this point? I watched that video twice just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Sir, you got a tip. You didn't crack, you didn't solve it. If I hired you and you came to my doorstep and you said, I cracked the case and this is the information you give me, I am throwing my shoe at your head. You'd be the worst detective I've ever, I would be so angry. I would be so angry. I think I would sue because I would be so mad. I don't even know what case you're trying to solve. But I wish you the best of luck in your endeavors because you need a lot of luck. Words mean something. I cracked the case means you solved it. You solved it.
I hope you're ready for this.
I think this guy's lying. When I first started seeing his videos, I disagreed with this theory, but thought he was genuinely doing his best to help until this video where he claims the FBI tried to recruit him twice in 2019 and 2021. Now, the FBI does occasionally recruit people, but it's almost always from existing law enforcement agencies. Okay, benefit of the doubt, maybe Ken had a job like that at the time. So I scrolled down through his Instagram to see if I could find out, and in 2019, Ken is, drumroll please, working for Walmart. I do think this was a managerial or like marketing position instead of working in a store, but still hardly something that would put you on the FBI's radar. Lying about one thing doesn't mean you're lying overall, but there are a few other things I should mention. One of them being that Ken now claims to be working with one detective, Kevin Gannon, who is a retired NYPD detective and the man who came up with the smiley face gang theory. Another fact about Kevin is that he was accused of assaulting a college student while he was supposed to be helping look for one of these victims. Here's another testimonial about what kind of man and what kind of cop this guy he's now so proud to be working with is. Also, in recent videos, he claims to now officially be part of the investigation, and then like 2 videos later says he's found a plate number that they're now running. This is not information you want to reveal to the public. People who commit crimes often keep up with news or social media reports of their crimes, and revealing this information gives them a chance to like switch cars, change plates, anything like that. In a way, it's almost better if he is not telling the truth about this, because if he is, it could be jeopardizing an ongoing investigation. He also claims the investigation has now officially been reopened. I could not find anything about that online. Admittedly, I did do like a very cursory Google search, so I could have missed it, but I don't think I did. Another creator who I'll tag if you want to watch her videos said he was full of it, which he responds to by posting texts on Instagram in which he claims to have caught 2 murderers already. To which I say, big if true, Ken, I would love more details on those. He also constantly reminds his audience he's not getting anything out of this, all while promoting his app called Foresight. I don't feel comfortable saying that that's why he's doing all this, because I also think it could be a mental health issue, like a manic episode, but I think it's important to keep in mind. Another important thing to remember is even if most of these people weren't murdered, they're still dead. And they had families and people who cared about them. And you're coming on here, you're saying a lot of things you have no evidence of that you can't back up. And you are telling people that their loved ones were murdered by a gang of serial killers. And regardless of the reason you're doing that, if that is not 100% true, it's not okay to do.
This kid, Echo, this kid, he gets it. He's absolutely 100% unequivocally correct. He is absolutely correct. There are people whose loved ones have passed away, and you're just sprinkling their deaths across the internet to quote unquote allegedly sell an app or sell downloads to an app so you can crowdsource for it. Is so unethical. It's not even, I can't even put it into words how disgusting I think that would be if that is the case. Now, I'm with him. I can't say that he's using this to sell an app. I'm not going to put my name on that. But if that is something that he is doing in the back of his head, right? If that's the plan, the whole plan, then he needs to cut it loose. He needs to cut it loose. It's wrong if that's what he's thinking, if that is the plan. Now, he says that he's investigating this case. He's been working close with another investigator by the name of Kevin Gannon, who was a retired NYPD officer turned investigator who really coined the phrase the smiley face killers. But again, that was with no empirical evidence. The case was never investigated as a gang of serial killers. So we don't quite know where it's going to go. There is also no evidence that this is even a case, if you will, right? We don't even know that. So yeah, like, look, I don't know what his end game is. I don't know what Ken's end game is with this whole investigation and app development. All I can say is that do it ethically. If you're really going to help, if you really, truly, honestly believe that these people are murdered, don't come out and say it unless you have empirical evidence. because all you're doing is devastating families and giving them false hope. We said the same thing about the Shanquilla Robinson case. We said the same thing, that her family hiring all those high-powered attorneys, all it's doing is bleeding their money dry and leading them nowhere. When Mexico is going to investigate the case, you're making people feel like they're not getting their justice. If their family member was just drunk and just had an accident and fell into the lake or a river or byway or waterway or whatever you want to call it, then that is it. And those people have been laid to rest. But if you're going to start digging up old wounds, you better be, this is for Ken, you better be willing to take the backlash when it comes. It's that simple. But that's all I have for you guys today. We'll be back on Wednesday, right? Not tomorrow, because I don't want you to get y'all hopes up. We'll be back on Wednesday here at the Nosy Bystanders Live. I am your host, Chief Nosy Bystander. You guys smash the like button on your way out. Don't be ignorant. I'm going to go get some curry because I'm really hungry. So I'll talk to you guys on Wednesday. You guys have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.